No, this was still bad. This was still shit on a fucking stick. Yeah, I'm gonna be ranting quite a bit. So, Unexpected Enemy was not, by itself, in a vacuum, was not Rantview status worthy. Not really. Here's the funny thing. You want to know what you want to know what would actually which of the if I was going episode by episode, I would maybe consider giving part 3 non-rant view status if I was actually doing this just individual episodes. But trust me when I say this that the first two parts of this are terra bad episodes, and it all stems from the explanation for why my, of all characters, decided to join this evil cult. I'm just going to go ahead and say it. I don't think it fits. It doesn't fit with my character. It doesn't fit with any of it. In fact, to be blunt with you, I don't think this is good writing. Even if I was to somehow accept the idea that this was somehow good writing, that this was within my character to do. I don't like this actually from a couple of different perspectives, as my camera keeps frickin' being all over the place. Give me a second. Okay. Somehow that fixed it. Alright, whatever. I think my biggest problem with this, bar none, the biggest issue that I have that I run into with this episode is them doing this to Mai at all. There's a note that I have in the sub for part 2 that sums this up perfectly. Why did they make Mai this week? No, seriously, why did they make Mai this week? That's actually what I take umbrage with this three-parter. Doing this to Mai specifically is the issue here. Because doing this to Mai comes with a myriad of problems. Not the least of which being you're fucking Joey over again. And to be blunt, I kind of hate that the whole show's been doing that. Has been treating Joey like shit. You know? Has been treating Joey like he's a joke, like he's a running gag. We didn't need to psychologically destroy Joey again. We didn't. Now, he's obviously going to, have some interesting ideas, but the problem is that Joey doesn't deserve to have somebody he cares about get taken over to the dark side, right? I mentioned last time, in my little preview of this video, that, if I had to do this, if I had to have the Claw of Hermos go into Joey's hands, I would have had it be Serenity, and then just have Mai and Joey kind of team up against Doma. I still say that, stand behind that working better, because then there's better stakes and more understandable stakes, because again, the corruption of a pure and innocent soul. In fact, if you really wanted to do this whole thing that supposedly Raphael's going to mention in the sub of part 1 of Fate of the Pharaoh, well, I'm assuming it's part 1 of Fate of the Pharaoh, maybe it'll be one of the later parts. At some point during Fate of the Pharaoh, In the sub, Raphael is going to explain that what the Orichalcos actually does is enhance a person's inner darkness. But you can utilize that and have it be that Serenity thinks she's on this glorious and righteous crusade, that she is not actually, she isn't evil, she hasn't turned to the dark side in the strictest sense of the word, or to be more accurate, she doesn't think she's using the dark side, when in reality that's what she's utilizing, is the dark side. For all intents and purposes, she thinks she's Luke Skywalker when she's Darth Vader. Kind of an idea. Or, we could turn a strong-willed young woman into an evil cunt bag who wants to kill Joey to get her murder boner fix. That works too, I guess. Because Joey's not allowed to have nice things, apparently. Ugh. Also, doesn't help that this three-parter has pacing issues out the ass, which are even worse in the fucking sub, because I remind you the sub is longer. But I suppose we should just go. I suppose we should just go through this in order. I'm not talking about the duel, by the way. I'll talk about Hermos specifically and Time Magic Hammer when we get to that. But I'm not going to be talking about the duel exclusively. I'll mention a couple of the cards as we go, but there really is nothing to say about this duel. I'm sorry, but I hate this duel. I actually think this is one of the lower ranking duels, even if I was to just rank the duel itself, because again, Joey isn't fucking trying, because of course he doesn't want to try, because this is wrong. You know? He has the same reaction to this duel that Seto had to the frickin' Anchor duel. Well, it's not a duel, it's a fucking death match, and he hates that. Ugh. But anyways. So, this is where we reveal that Valen has this massive crush on Mai. It's blatantly obvious that he's like sweet on Mai, and Raphael is just ignoring it wholesale because he's a blind dipshit. No, seriously, Valen jumping off that fucking balcony should not have come as a shock to Raphael. But it does, because we need him to interrupt the duel, because we need to drag out this evil Mai subplot for some fucking reason. I get that the idea is supposed to be that the first duel does not end in victory, because that's the structure they're going for, right? We don't win the first confrontation, but we win the second, right? Well, it's too bad that this just kind of screws everything over when you think about it. So Mai says that she has no soul in the dub. Admittedly, Mai effectively Mai is less of a bitch in the sub, but she's still a bitch in the sub. She's less of one, but she's still a bitch. So it's helping, but not by that much. So Joey is forced to get on with it. While Kaiba and Duke are heading towards Industrial Illusions. I do like in the dub how Kaiba effectively says that the legendary dragons are on par with the Egyptian god cards. I actually like that because again, that was the kind of the whole point of getting the god cards out of Yugi's grasp, right? In fact, in some ways, you could even say that the god cards are being used to fuel the power of the Orichalcos in many ways. So they duel. Joey's scapegoat is beaten by is countered with Nightmare Tri-Mirror. They say that Mai has cards that are like exclusive, like only useful because she has the power of the Orichalcos on her side. As my camera keeps being awful. Anyways, but yeah, so she gets a whole bunch of tokens. We have to make Tristan and Honda stupid because we have to remind the audience about the 10 monster thing. Like, you literally could have just said, you could have had Tristan just be like, "Holy crap, she's got 6 monsters now." Instead of calling that cheating, just have him comment on it like, "Oh crap, he's got 6 monsters," and then have like a temp chime in and say, "Thanks to the Orichalcos." Ocos, right? So then, Harpy Lady Sparrow formation is the trap card that Mai uses in this thing. So then Mai explains what happened, what drove her to this state. I'm just gonna go ahead and say the entire explanation here because we actually get part of the explanation in part 1, and then in part 2 we get the explanation, and in both versions, it's really fucking stupid. Because there's two things that lead Mai to being like, wow, I want power, I want power, I want power, I want power, I want power. Power. Give me power with your magical penis darts. Look, I'm gonna keep making fun of this because this is so fucking stupid. Like, I at least would have been okay with them fighting with Joey and Valen. The whole reason Valen has a beef with Joey being because Mai chooses to hang around him rather, around Joey rather than him. But no, it's but no, we had to turn Mai evil because this is stupid. Ugh. So she's winning tournaments, but because so many people are basically declaring that she is not on par with Yugi and Joey, that means she's basically seeing those wins as meaningless now. She's letting random nobodies dictate how she should feel about her wins. Okay, whatever. Smash your trophy. I Now, the other side of the explanation is because she keeps having nightmares about her shadow game with Merrick. That part at least makes a degree of sense. That's not helping. But the problem for me is that it feels like they're just screwing Mai over. Like, I can understand how she isn't feeling like it's enough constantly. Like, honestly, take out the goddamn taunting and just kind of make it so that Valen kind of preys on the fact that she doesn't want that she's wanting that she thinks that her wins are hollow, right? And then say, hey, I've got a way you can catch up to Yugi and Joey. Then he demonstrates that power. It demonstrates that power, that there's a way to go ahead so she'll never lose again. Then she goes to Darts. Darts gives her the power, claims this is the power I gave Alan, and then that it corrupts her because then it's more of a case of, oh, this will help me catch up so that I will never enter, never be thrust into that darkness again, and then have it be like that. Instead of the whole, she magically, the problem is that they turn my so goddamn whiny in this. Like, I'm sorry, you go from "we will meet again" in a duel to "I'm so weak and pathetic, and I need a man to fuck me senseless, so that way I can gain an evil magic power that will make it so that I'll win forever." I hate that, because again, if it was any other character but I would have been more on board with it. But my feeling weak and helpless doesn't fit, because it is a stark and just blatant, like, this is not the same character we said goodbye to at the end of season 3. My opinion. In either version. And it pisses me off. Ugh. You know? So then Joey tries to stop everything, to reset the duel basically with Fiber Jar, but Harpy's Featherstorm stops it. We're deep into part 2 because I don't even care. Actually, there is one part I should mention, actually, from part 1. Joey goes to quit, and I like Atem's explanation in the sub for this better. That's just going to be an insult, and she's not going to be saved that way, because she will find it to be an insult. Weirdly enough, I actually like that, and no, that's not an example of Atem being an egotistical asshole. No, he has a point, because remember, Mai is being fucking stupid. So the gesture is going to be completely fucking lost on her, and she will be insulted, because this is Mai being written to be a complete and utter bitch. Not damaged, not like she joined the Society of Ouroboros, or else she joined a cult that decided to mind control her. Like, I swear to God, Doma is trying so hard to be the Society of Ouroboros from Trails, so hard, but they're not. They are literally just the fucking ghouls from Battle City. And it's pissing me off so goddamn hard. Also, to one more point I want to talk about in part 2. So Joey starts fighting back. In the sub, Raphael says, "Oh, that must mean he's a chosen duelist, because he started fighting back." What? I mean, he's right. Joey is a chosen duelist, but how did you come to that conclusion based upon the fact that he didn't give up? That makes no fucking sense. Point dub for that one. I will admit, at least no one in the sub is mocking him for his luck, because of that trap card he uses, which I didn't even write down the name of. That was cool. Also, I have a point that I'm gonna have to, that I think I'm making note of, because I want to see something when it comes to grappling with a guardian, which won't be for a while, but until near the end of the season. But yeah, mostly the whole, you can just move your harpies to the back row. What? There's my point about that. Hermos awakening is weird in the sub because of the music. You know, when he says, "Meet my new friend Hermos." Hermos, the music in the sub is just weird at the end. I'm like, what the fuck is that music? So now we get into part 3. He, uh, in the dub, Raphael has a point. Oh, just because he has the card doesn't mean he knows how to use it, which he has a point. So Joey uses the Claw of Hermos to bring up Time Magic Hammer. I kind of hate this play, if I'm honest. So then he deals with that. At Skull Dice, he defeats Harpy's pet dragon, and then Valen thinks with his penis and stops the duel, which is honestly a pointless act, especially considering he should have known that Joey was going to be aiming for a draw, because that's the only way you can survive a duel of the Orichalcos. Did Imelda not get to brief them on that? About what happened there? I mean, I guess, but I mean, he had enough time to radio in, so I don't get that. What? You didn't make a phone call? Phone them on their cell and be like, "Yo, I've discovered a weakness in our power. Be careful. Careful if it's a draw, no souls get taken." You know? Whatever. So after that, Kaiba shows up and they find Pegasus's secret room. They find the card that will somehow unleash some awesomeness later on. This is where the gang learns about darts specifically in the dub and Doma in general in the sub. Doma are basically the Illuminati. Oh, and then it's either Kaiba is egotistical with his "I don't believe in magic" garbage. Sorry about that. It's either Kaiba. We either have to deal with Kaiba being egotistical and stupid and not believing in magic, or we find out an interesting tidbit. Gosaburo is afraid of Doma, which makes sense because they're the Illuminati. Shrug, I guess. Let's just get to the changes section because I do not want to spend any more time on this. It's because I'm just so done. I'm so done. And with this fuck heap of an episode. So, the big change I already mentioned, make it Serenity, you know, because again, if you change it to Serenity and have her literally just using the power, but it's not really corrupting her, if it's really a balancing act, you literally could have the question be, is the Orichalcos evil? You know, a scale tipping thing, right? You know, or just have Valen just, totally just being in love with Mai and have that be the whole thing, right? Like maybe make it this obsession of Valen wanting to duel Mai, wanting to get close to Mai because he's infatuated with her and he wants to take her soul because in some kind of weird, sick, like soul taking fetish thing, you know. Maybe she's not a chosen duelist, but she's his chosen duelist, if that makes any sense, right? And yes, that is supposed to have horrid, disgusting implications. I would also make it so that instead of Jinochi not knowing what the power of the Claw of Hermos is, I would actually have it so that just like with Seto and Critias, Jinochi knows what Time Magic Hammer can do and explains it. Even maybe have him act with annoyance when he sees, crap, Harpy's pet dragon. Again, got the number 1 on it. Shit. You know? That kind of thing. Because, I just think that would work better than what we got instead of turning it into a stupid gag, which is even dumber in the dub. But let's not get into that. Now, granted, now you could say, wait, doesn't that break your rules, Blue Wolf? Like you can't change the opponents, right? And you're right. You're right. I mean, that is the big that is the change I would want to make the most to completely rewrite it. But if we have to keep it my versus Joey, that's how I would do it. I would, that's basically how I would do it. I would have Joey be more confident. I'd have it be that instead of this whole I'm weak, I'm weak, I'm weak, I'm weak shit, it's more a case of Valen just kind of poisons her with the notion of I know a power that will close the gap fast. You know, instead of being weak, have it be that that the reason she jumps the gap and starts using the power of the Orichalcos and get that drug analogy going is because of the nightmares. Because then you have your PTSD victim that a cult is taking advantage of. You aren't fucking Mai's character over because jumping over a gap actually feels like it would be appropriate because the nightmares are causing her to want to do that gap, and then have it be, and then you can even keep the whole she's being mocked for it. Just get the stupid I don't want to lose anymore, I don't want to lose anymore whining out of there. That's literally the only thing you need to eject out of the fucking equation is her whininess. And then suddenly this isn't so bad. I mean, it's still irritating because they still have the whining. I would get rid of all of the fucking whining. I mean, maybe have her fear losing, but don't make her a freaking whiny, like have her fucking shaking and holding herself and whining. That's not my Kujaku. So there you go. That's how I would change it. Get rid of the whining. Have Joey know what the fuck Claw of Hermos can do. Who know what the fuck Time Magic Hammer can do. And let's get rid of Valen fucking interrupting the duel. If we have to have the duel, it will end with my still being a part of the dark side. You literally have Joey end the duel in a draw. And then Mai basically he echoes Imelda from the end of the last episode. From the end of Deja Duel. Cool. This isn't over. We will duel again. That kind of thing. Now I get that would be kind of repetitive. Repetitive. Or hell, even better. Instead of Valen interrupting it, have Valen just step up and be like, nah, 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 nah. We gotta rethink our strategy, and then yank her away, drag her away, right? 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 And then, have Raphael just kind of, do the whole, yeah, I'm gonna face you. You're next, nameless Pharaoh. Peace. You're next, Pharaoh. Peace. He's teleport away. And there you go. But no, we have to have Valen whining and shit, and it's why is everybody whining? Why is there so much whining in this episode? I guess I'm whining too, so there you go. it's mutual, I guess. I hate this episode. If you can't tell. Fuck this. Fuck this three-parter. I'm done. My Freaky Valentine. Ugh. Should see if I can make the titles green. We actually haven't had a rant view in the Doma arc yet. This is actually the first one. God, I hate being right. Next week probably won't be a rant view because next week is the challenge. I think Professor Hopkins is going to save that one, but we'll see. And then we'll have to deal with Fate of the Pharaoh. Until next time, Blue Wolf Alex the Lore Walker signing out. Have a good one. Duel stand by. Fuck this episode.